Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to another podcast by New Moves. I haven't been doing a lot of these. I really need to do these once a week or once every 2 weeks at least, because they're so easy to do. I've said this so many times. I mean, my other videos take 10 to 50 hours to make. I really gotta push out more content, and this is such a great way to do it. And thank you so much for supporting these videos that are simple. But if you are new to this channel, let me just introduce myself real quick. My name is New Moves. This is my channel. I'm a teacher in China, but I'm also a political blogger. I've been making political videos for the last 8 years, since 2012. I started doing them in Canada, related to Canadian and American news. But soon after that, I decided to move my life to Asia. And I stopped making videos for 6 years because I was teaching and exploring and just loving my life in Asia. But now I got back to politics and videos because I just feel like it's so badly needed in this insane time of fake news, propaganda, trade wars, a China that's returning to its former state as a powerful, influential country. So it's just a perfect time for me to come back because I fucking hate war. Let's just be honest. So anyways, welcome back, or welcome to the channel if you're new. And today's going to be really different. I'm going to be honest. What you're going to hear now is the sound of my beer because I'm just going to ramble today, all right? This is going to be a ramble. I've never done this before. I am straight up going to ramble. Here we go. So what you just heard there is my beer opening up. I'm going to have a beer with you guys, all right? So cheers. If you have a beer, pause the video. Get that beer out of your fridge. If you're in quarantine right now, what a perfect time to share a drink with a stranger from the other side of the world. Or if you're joining me from China, cheers to your VPN. Millions of you guys are using VPNs, and that's cool. All right, so like I said, this is going to be a straight up ramble. I have no idea how this is going to go. But I'm just going to talk to you like you're my friend, because you are my friends. I treat you guys as my friends. I respect you guys. That's why my channel is always going to be independent. I think you guys come to my channel because you seek an independent voice, one that's not funded by any media organization, by any state, by any interest group, by any think tank. My opinions are 100% mine, a Canadian living in China with Chinese ancestral roots. That doesn't really matter because I am Canadian. Like, that's my cultural background. I didn't know anything about China before I got here. So anyways, yeah, I really do treat you guys as my friends. So let's chat. The title of today's video is "The American Experiment Has Officially Failed." And the reason I said that is because America is supposed to be this place of exceptional freedom. It's this place where liberties, individualism, the rights of the individual, enshrined freedoms like the freedom of speech, the freedom to carry firearms, freedom to assemble, freedom of religion, etc., etc., etc. It's supposed to be the land of the free. And what we're finding out now is that that has all failed. And if you're listening to this and you are a part of the BLM movement, or even if you're part of the pro-Trump movement, I think regardless of what side of the political spectrum you're on, you're going to agree with me that maybe America was never that great to begin with. I think if you're reading my title and you're saying, no, the American experiment didn't fail last week, it's never been there. It's never been established. America's always sort of been a place that has never lived up to its promise. Even Ben Shapiro said that. I had him in a clip saying that America's never lived up to that promise. Whichever way you're looking at this from, whatever angle you're looking at this from, I'm going to argue today. I'm going to present my opinion, not argue, but present my side of the story that the American experiment of a place that's powered by the people, powered by this American-style democracy, powered on the belief that everyone can be totally free, not totally, but very, very free, and that a society can still function effectively in unity and in a way that can be powerful enough to maintain its status as a superpower of the world. So why did I say that it has failed? It's officially failed. Again, you might believe that it's never worked, but I'm saying last week it officially failed. Okay, as we all know, unless you've been living in a cave, thousands of Trump supporters met in front of the Capitol, and they held a rally there. So Trump called its supporters to meet in front of the Capitol as the Congress was formally acknowledging the fact that Biden has won. So they were counting the electoral college votes. Each state was presenting the number of votes. And inside the House, Vice President Pence was officially counting them. He was literally going through each state saying, this state has declared that, 25 electoral votes are going to Trump, 5 electoral votes going to, 20 going to Biden, 5 going to Trump, and something like that. I was actually watching it live for a little while. So that was happening in Congress, and Trump was saying, we can't let this happen. We can't let the corrupt Democrats, with its stranglehold of the media, allow the steal to happen. I'm not going to get into that. I'm not going to get into the fact that if it was a steal or not. That's up to you to decide. Maybe I'll share that opinion later on in another podcast, but that's not what I'm talking about today. You really have to be living in a cave not to know the fact that the Trump supporters met there that day and later on decided to converge onto the Capitol, and hundreds of them actually managed to break in, get into the Capitol, get into the Congress, the House of Congress. I forgot the actual name, the chamber where all the decisions are made. And then violence ensued. People died. People were getting shot. And the police came and got everyone out. So you might be thinking, okay, New Move, so you're saying because the Capitol was overrun and infiltrated by a bunch of supporters, that means the American experiment has failed, officially. Well, no. That might be part of my point, but actually that's not what I'm saying. The reaction, the aftermath of protesters getting their way into the chambers, which put people's lives at risk, that put, lawmakers, you might not like that word lawmakers because I think a lot of them are corrupt and just working for corporations. But anyways, people working in the government were fearing for their lives. And that's not where I believe the American experiment officially failed. No. It's what came afterwards, which shocked me and appalled me as a Westerner. And not only did it shock me, but the reactions from the general public shocked and appalled me. And that's why I can make a very strong argument, and I think you will agree with me, that this does really officially signify the end and the failure of the American experiment. As you might know, after the Capitol was overrun with protesters, after people were killed inside the House of Congress, what happened was that Twitter, as well as Facebook, decided to ban Trump from their platforms. So hours after this happening, Trump was banned completely from Twitter, indefinitely, I believe. And then Zuckerberg, the CEO of Facebook, of course, you all know that, banned Trump from its platforms. And remember, Facebook owns a lot. It owns WhatsApp, it owns Instagram. Twitter, Facebook, and Google basically control all the information that ever gets through to you. It goes from the world to your phone. It basically has to funnel through these 3 companies. Of course, there are other media conglomerates. It's a very small number of people in this world that control all the flow of information. But the fact that President Donald Trump was banned from the most important social networks, the most important information gateways in the world, is absolutely appalling and shocking. And more importantly, it's more appalling and shocking that so many people in the West supported it. Let me take a sip of my beer. And you might be thinking, New Moves, who cares? Donald Trump's an asshole. You might be thinking, Donald Trump says racist things. Donald Trump stirs people up. Donald Trump lies. Well, first of all, every politician lies. Almost every politician stirs things up in the West. In China, not so much. In Korea, not so much. In certain countries, not so much. But in the West, in America especially, almost all politicians do that, right? A little bit less on the left, a little bit more on the right. So you can't really say that that's an argument that people have said, racist things or lies, and then we could just ban them. Because remember, we're talking about America here, the place where they absolutely enshrine the right to speech, the freedom of speech. That's what makes America special. So that's what I'm saying. It's official now. It's official that the American experiment has failed. They no longer respect their own sacred right of free speech. It shouldn't matter if the speech is fake. It shouldn't matter if the speech is harmful. It shouldn't matter if the speech incites people. All speech is free in America. At least that's what they claim. I don't think that's ever been true, but that's what they've been claiming. I'm going to argue that it's never been true, but that's why I'm saying officially the experiment has failed. I think a lot of us that read a lot, read about Edward Snowden, Julian Assange, and a lot of other people, we know freedom of speech has never really existed in America, right? You're free to parrot the mainstream media's point of view. That's what you're free to do, okay? You're free to parrot what they teach you in university, like feminism and whatever. You're free to do that. But don't try to say things that go against the mainstream or against academia. You're not free to do that. You will be banned. You will be unfit for the algorithm. You will be demonetized immediately. You will be attacked by every single media outlet in the world. Not in the world, but in the Western world. That's why the title of my video today and my thesis today is that it's official now. It's official. So to me, America is no different from China, because China officially does censor things. China officially manages its information, and it officially outlaws misinformation and disinformation. That's the reason why Dr. Li Wenliang was reprimanded by the police. That's why he was taken in. He was warned because he was breaking misinformation laws. What he shared in a WeChat group last year was that he thought that SARS had come back. He was a little bit wrong. He was a little bit incorrect. And he was spreading it out without any official confirmation that this is what was true, right? So the information he was spreading could have caused mass fear. It also could have been very good. But it would be very disingenuous to fully support his freedom when, what if he was wrong? Right? Like, you might be saying, oh, Li Wenliang, he should have been completely free to say whatever he wants to everyone and spread his information, across platforms and be amplified to millions of people or thousands of people. But what if he was wrong? What if it was just a really extreme form of the flu? Or what if it was just something else that wasn't epidemic? Then he would just be an asshole. He would just be this Chicken Little, scaring the crap out of everyone, instilling fear into society when people just want to live their lives. They don't want to be scared out of their wits just because some doctor had it wrong. So it could have gone both ways, right? He could have been wrong. In this case, he was kind of right. It was a disease related to SARS. It's SARS-2. Getting back to my point, officially now, America is no different from China. China blocked Facebook and Google because Facebook and Google would not adhere to Chinese laws. Back in 2009, there were a lot of terrorist attacks happening in the mainland China, mainly in Xinjiang with the Uyghur extremists. There are a lot of Uyghurs returning from Syria, returning from Afghanistan. They've been radicalized through those American wars, through those, not just American wars, but in Syria, it's, Russia and America and Turkey, a lot of different states involved there. But they've been totally radicalized to wage jihad, and they were returning in droves. Thousands and thousands of men and women, I think mainly men, were coming back, and then they took this jihadist ideology or theology and brought it back to mainland China. China didn't want to have this war on terrorism that America did, which has cost millions of innocent lives. So it started a de-radicalization program around that time. And we all know about that, right? Because the mainstream media claims there are concentration camps with no evidence. Sorry, there's a satellite image. So I'm supposed to believe that a satellite image of a factory is in fact a concentration camp. No, I don't. That's ridiculous. Okay. So again, the aftermath of the infiltration of the Capitol by pro-Trump supporters, The aftermath of that is what clearly signifies the end or the official acknowledgement that the specialty of America, the freedom part of America, is not real, doesn't exist. America wants to manage its information just as China does. So if America wants to keep saying, hey, look, we're different from China because we're so free, but in fact they're not, they're no different from China, then you have to judge those countries now more on an equal playing field, right? The West always says China was able to control its pandemic because it's an authoritarian regime. They don't allow free speech. They don't allow free this and that, blah, blah, blah. Well, now you can't make that argument. Now you can't say, oh, the West failed in the management of COVID because we're so free. We're so free with information and yada, yada. Well, now we know that's actually not true. So the failure of the West to control the pandemic is just simply a failure. It's simply because of incompetence or cultural reasons, right? That Westerners can't stand quarantining themselves, or they can't stand wearing masks. They can't stand rigid guidelines. It could be that as well. But now that we can see clearly that China and America, in terms of the management of information, is not different at all. In fact, I prefer the Chinese way of dealing with information because they are very honest. China is very straight up, like, okay, we will censor misinformation. We will ban people from spreading things that are not true, spreading ideas that are dangerous, that are going to cause civil unrest, that are going to cause people to hate each other. If I went around China today and I wrote down, I hate America and let's bomb America. If I wrote a big sign like that, let's have war with America, I would be arrested. Not arrested, but I would definitely be spoken to. People would come and be like, put that sign down right now. So even though America is very aggressive towards China right now, China doesn't allow speech that's going to cause massive disunity in the country. Even if that speech is actually very supportive of China, they don't allow that speech. So America and China, in terms of management of information, now we're seeing clearly that they're the same. And what's really, really disappointing and mind-boggling is how easy it is for us Westerners, the average Joe, to just be like, yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome that we're giving up our free speech. That's awesome that we're banning this person from speaking. Literally just taking away the platform, Twitter, Facebook. He has no voice. There's no alternative. There really isn't. So that's really shocking. And I want to say that I actually support American free speech. And I actually support the West's ideologies because this world, every country is different. Every culture is different. And I think it's beautiful that the West has that. Okay? China's different. China's a Confucian society where they really respect their elders. They really respect authority. It's a different society built on different culture and history. And so I think the world is more interesting, more beautiful when there are different places with different laws and different ideas and different philosophies. So I'm honestly actually sad that America has lost its ability to be who it's supposed to be this place of unrestricted freedoms. I know you might think, oh, New Moves, you're not making sense here. Like, you live in a country in China where information is explicitly managed, that we know that we cannot say anything we want. We know that. And then here you are saying that you're sad that America is losing that. Well, actually, hear me out. It actually makes sense because I just said that I think the world should be pluralistic. I like plurality. If I go to Jamaica or if I go to Sri Lanka, I want to see those countries for who they really are. I don't want every country to be like China. I don't want every country to be like America or Canada. Every country has its own unique ways of dealing with problems, its own unique laws, its own unique traditions and customs. And I would like to see that when I go to those countries. So I am honestly sad. And as a Westerner, I'm sad that America is failing in its experiment. I love American culture. I love American music and film. I love the American idea of rugged individualism. That's why I started my channel. I had a dream that I could maybe change the world by making good content. So I am a Westerner through and through. I follow my dreams. I go all out to pursue my individualistic interests. Every Chinese person I meet is very envious of me and is very inspired by me. because they see me as just following my own selfish purpose. It's not selfish, but you know what I mean? Like, it is kind of selfish that I'm just doing what I think is best. And I just also want to say another thing, that I think in an ideal world, the competition between China and America is actually a really beautiful one. Okay? In an ideal world. In an ideal world where America and China competed in a fair way, so that people around the world could actually choose, like, okay, do I want to join or be part of an American system or a Chinese system, right? And as a person in the world, like a Canadian who doesn't live in America, or who's not from America or China, you can kind of judge and say, okay, which system is more effective? Which system has more positives than negatives? That would be so ideal, to see a competition between two really successful and amazing civilizations, or societies, I should say. But unfortunately, that's not what's happening. Unfortunately, we can see America is just becoming more and more like China, wanting to control, wanting to be a management type of society, not a free one. And also, we're seeing that the way America deals with Chinese competition, Chinese tech, is totally not free, right? They've thrown out all the free trade, all the free business type of ideology right away. As soon as China developed 5G technology, they just banned all Chinese 5G because they don't want to allow China to dominate that industry, right? They just banned all Chinese 5G from America. So unfortunately, that ideal isn't happening. We're not seeing a fair competition between America and China. What we're seeing is America bully and force all of its allies to ban Chinese tech, to use misinformation, use propaganda to attack China and to say China's an evil country for the purpose of dissuading people from investing in China, for the purpose of making people feel like they should never go to China or visit China because they'll be arrested or some bullshit like that. So we're not seeing a fair competition. We're just seeing America flex its hegemonic muscles. We're seeing America flex its hegemony and basically throw around its weight by trying to contain China. I read an article where someone has declassified the American strategy on China, and it really was just a strategy of containment. That's all it was. It's called the first island chain, and it just talks about how America tried to contain China within this first island chain that goes from Japan all the way to Taiwan Island, part of China, down to the Philippines. Okay, so I've talked about so many things here. It's already been about 20 minutes, and let's just a quick summary here. So I believe in a pluralistic world, in a world with many different cultures, in a world that's very varied and beautiful, like a garden. And unfortunately, America is becoming more and more like China. And China's more of a conservative, controlled, reserved kind of country. It's not the most risk-prone type of place. It preserves its culture and it manages information. America, on the other hand, is supposed to be completely free, completely innovative, completely, unpredictable and individualistic. And that's beautiful, right? Every country has its own amazing, unique characteristics. And it's sad to see that we're losing that. So I hope my podcast raised some interesting points for you. If you have any suggestions, please let me know. And I really do appreciate your donations and support because I'm not getting many donations these days. I'm going to be honest, very few. I did get a couple of very nice ones during Christmas and the New Year's. I think people want to send me some Christmas gifts. So thank you so much. There's one person that sent me about 200 Canadian dollars, 1,000 yuan. That was my biggest contribution in probably 6 months. And I thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Let's burn this place down. 不是就没要不然就被人血本无归，要么就下个片就不留。I was sleeping now I wake up， 等待着我去打破诅咒。我下场被叫做恶人又如何？闭上我眼一念就产生我沉默。会迟早会拿到我以前爱得到的那些黑板，这杯多导致全馆聚一时茶叶。我见过血红的月色，血红的眼和我炙热的心一起相连。血色都想让我经历，任由它钻，它是我磨碎我这个历史。你说让我怎样才能不为这苍生中华那么的fucking demon？我感觉为虚妄西想被千万古山野的倔强，基本上听歌。距离过每一遍，所以都不是真的。